Good morning. My name is Kelly McCormick. I'm the Director of Events and Programming here at the Portland Regional Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for joining us as we kick off our third season of Ideas, our inclusion, diversity, equity, and advancement series. Ideas is presented by Springborn Staffing and is a virtual DEI training series hosted by the Chamber in partnership with Visit Portland, where we cover various areas of DEI training in an effort to help business owners and employees create more welcoming workplaces. Today's topic, Integrating Veteran Talent, Practical Approaches for Employers, is presented by Brian Cummings, Director of Military and Veteran Services with Easter Seals, Maine, and Vicki Hayer, Local Veterans Employment Representative at the Greater Portland Career Center. Like all Chamber virtual signature events, today's presentation is free and will be recorded, and it will be made available for replay on the Chamber's website and YouTube page. To keep up to date on all the Chamber's news and events, please visit our website, portlandregion.com, where you can sign up for our newsletter and follow us on social media. Before we begin today's program, I just want to remind everyone that we're using a platform called StreamYard. This platform provides improved production and interactive elements that enhance virtual events. If you have questions for our presenters today, you can type them in the YouTube chat throughout the presentation, and Brian and Vicki will answer them when appropriate. And there will be time at the end for question and answers. All this to say, please do interact with us this morning. And now, I'd like to introduce Ken DeSimone, President of Springborn Staffing, our Ideas presenting sponsor.
Thank you, Kelly. Good morning, everyone. I'm Ken DeSimone, President of Springborn Staffing. Thank you so much for joining us today. We at Springborn are incredibly proud to continue our partnership with the Portland Regional Chamber on this Ideas series. At Springborn, we believe that diversity, equity, and inclusion aren't just HR initiatives. They're core drivers of innovation and business performance. We see every day how diverse perspectives build stronger, more resilient teams and foster deeper connections within the communities we serve. As our Maine workforce continues to evolve, tapping into underutilized talent pools has become a more strategic necessity for all of us. This is especially true when it comes to our veteran community. Veterans bring a unique brand of leadership, discipline, and high-stakes problem solving to the table. We're really excited to hear from Vicki and Brian today on how we can all better attract, integrate, and retain that talent to strengthen our local economy. Thank you for being here and for your commitment to this work. Let's take these insights and turn them into meaningful action for a more inclusive future. Without further ado, Vicki and Brian, please take it away. Thank you, everybody.
Hi, good morning, everybody. My name is Brian Cummings. I'm the Director of Military and Veteran Services at Easter Seals, Maine. I want to, before we get started, give a quick thank you to Kelly, to Riley, and to Ken for having us here today. I was super excited to get asked to do this. The Ideas thing is important. It's not just important in the work we're all doing. It's important in the military, where I served before. You have to come together as a team with folks from all over the world often. I'm happy to be joined today by Vicki Hayer, who's a colleague of mine. We both work in the same field. We're both Air Force veterans. Vicki, you say hello.
Hello, good morning, and thank you to our hosts. I appreciate being here, and it's a great opportunity to get to work with Brian. He's a wealth of knowledge, and he's a great guy to get to know.
So I'll get started. Like Ken said, if you have questions during the presentation, pop them into the chat. We'll be watching those in the comments section. I wanted to lead off today with why veterans matter to Maine's workforce. Maine is home to over 100,000 veterans, which is one of the highest in the states. It's either 5 or 6 out of the entire 50 states per capita. So we don't have a huge population, but the portion of the population that are veterans is really high. And right now, employers across Maine continue to face persistent workforce shortages. Everyone's competing for talent. Everyone's struggling to retain talent. Often the talent that we have are facing barriers outside of work. We're in the middle of winter. It's 12 below zero sometimes at night right now. So families are trying to navigate living and taking care of each other and getting to work and being good employees as well. The veterans that we've hired, in my experience, the veterans I've served with, and I think Vicki would say the same, and the veterans that we've placed into employment with employers in Maine will bring leadership, reliability, and focus day one. That's kind of core of who we are. One of the things that, and I've worked mostly with homeless veterans over the past several years, but we've never looked at it as a charity. People get to different points in their life for a variety of reasons. It's not a charity. Veterans come from all walks of life, all backgrounds. It's a strategic business decision. So, Vicki, do you want to add anything to this slide before I move on?
Yeah, sure. I just wanted to hit on that point of it isn't charity. I've run across many veterans who don't want assistance finding jobs because they feel they could do it on their own. But then there's a portion of folks that, like you said, they feel like, hey, I have a barrier to employment. How can I get hired somewhere if I, so we have a program, it's called the Jobs for Veteran State Grants, JVSG program, and it's funded federally. But essentially we work with, I specifically in Portland work with veterans who have barriers to employment, maybe if they're 30% or more disabled with the VA, or they're homeless, or they're out of work, they're low income, Vietnam era veterans. So we have a variety of veterans that come in and use our services. And so it's a great pleasure and honor to be able to help them find employment. So thank you.
All right. Let's see. I threw the stat slide up again because I really want to emphasize the amount of veterans that live in Maine.
Yes.
It's one of the highest veterans populations per capita in the nation, as I said again. So many of these folks are working below their skill level. I'll get into why, and we'll talk about why that happens, and why it happens to a lot of folks right now. Some of the barriers I've run into with some of the veterans I've worked with are things like childcare that are common across a lot of employees for veterans with young families. Childcare costs, finding childcare, transportation is always a barrier. Making sure you can get to and from work. Those are things that Vicki and I help with. We're here to remove those barriers. If there's an unmet need or a problem that somebody is facing, that's the direct work that Easter Seals does, and that's the direct work that Vicki does with the Department of Labor. Again, emphasizing why this matters. Like, we hear you. I've worked with employers just as much as I've worked with veterans since I've started this. Part of my job too is connecting with local industries and businesses in Maine and finding out what their needs are and how we can help. And all that I hear is like every strong pipeline matters for how to get people on board, good people that you're going to keep, that are going to stay with you. When you hire a veteran, you're bringing somebody in who has proven leadership. They have reliability and teamwork. They're ready to work. They're going to bring with them skills that they learned in the military from day one. You have to start learning how to work as a team. You have to be able to get along with folks you don't necessarily agree with. You're up early a lot, so that's a good thing. So there's discipline. Those things come with a veteran. It's kind of who we are. It's what we bring with us, and it's what they'll bring to you as employees. So it's a workforce solution. It's a business advantage, and at the same point, it's a positive thing you're doing for yourself. You're helping your business by hiring good people. It's also a nice way to advertise that you're a veteran-friendly organization, that you care about giving back to the community, and that you want to support veterans. You can't go wrong with that message. Vicki, do you have anything on this slide?
Yeah, just to add on to the workforce solution and business advantage part is the Department of Labor offers many different programs that would help an individual retrain. Often we get folks that are wanting to retrain from their military career or add on to it. So we get a lot of people coming out of the military that might have experience such as medic or a welder or electrician, but when they get out, they're not certified on that state level. So there's means and ways so that these individuals can get educated to get their degree or get their certification. And we use workforce partners such as Goodwill New England. We also use the Workforce Solutions. So they have case management. They work with the client. They have funding. That's the big thing. DOL has no funding for any kind of program, peripheral to what we already have. So we use our resources to really help those individuals get where they want to be.
And get back to what Vicki was talking about. One of the things we look at is industry crosswalk pipelines. So these are especially strong in Maine. So if you look at military, she was just speaking about some of the skill sets you might have in the military logistics. Those transfer great into careers in manufacturing, supply chain, and warehousing, maintenance roles in the military, other trades, again, facilities management, utilities, a leadership role. If someone was an NCO or an officer in the military, they can make great frontline supervisors. They've gone through that leadership forge that they went through in the military. The other thing, a lot of medical roles translates directly into healthcare support. So I think that what we're asking employers to do is to partner with organizations like Vicki. I know that Ken met Vicki at one of the Maine HireVet events, and she's going to talk a little bit more about those in a minute. That's something we work directly with the Department of Labor on. But we want to say that we're not hiring. You don't got to stop hiring for the perfect resume. What you want to hire for is demonstrated ability. And we help the veterans know how to interview so they come prepared to you when it's time to do a job interview, time to build a resume. We're here to help them with all that. One of the things at Easter Seals that we do and that we've done with our workforce partners, there's things like credentialing, helping folks get a credential if they need it. That's another barrier we can help with. Vicki talked about different licenses that maybe don't translate when you're coming out of the military and going into a civilian career. We use a lot of peer referral networks. If you hire one veteran intentionally and he's happy as an employee with you, that word's going to spread. Veterans talk to each other.
Yeah.
So that's a great thing to do too. And then of course, education's a huge part of it. Vicki's going to talk a little bit about a program at USM, but we're close partners with the community college, University of Southern Maine, University of Maine. Veterans Upward Bound is a great organization. And we always want to be meaningful and purposeful about helping the veterans that we're working with further their education and connect to those benefits that they've earned. It's a huge part of making them a better employee, making them a better person. They're going to earn more money in the long run with that education behind them and be able to give things back to the states. Vicki, do you want to talk for a minute about the state programs like Earn and Learn and apprenticeships and some of those things that you guys have through the Department of Labor?
Yeah. So the state of Maine does have a lot of internal programs that would assist an individual, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a veteran, but I focus specifically on veterans, but the Career Center focuses on any job seeker. So there's internships. So those are sometimes offered for younger folks to learn a trade to see if maybe they're going to like that. Then there's Voc Rehab. So for an individual that might be disabled at some extent, vocational rehab will often train them, educate them on a job that's suitable for them. There's federal bonding. So we often get a justice involved or treatment court type individuals, and they could face a liability to a business. So what's actually a federal program is the federal bonding program. They would give the business approximately $6,000 in the event that some kind of accident or theft or any kind of like that would cover that individual. It's not often used, but it's there as a back. Okay, here we go. And then we have our workforce partners, and then there's rapid response. Rapid response is in place for when a business shuts down and you have a large number of layoffs. That individual will go out to the business, talk to them, see how they can meet with all the people who've been laid off, give them some information and help them with resources. Maybe they need money for heat or, that kind of stuff. So that's what that does. And then the CSSP is a competitive skills scholarship program. Mm-hmm. So that's within the Department of Labor Career Center. And so that's based upon your income and a bunch of other variables. And if you have a disability, that also helps. So in all of those situations, priority of service takes place for veterans. If you're a special disabled, other disabled, or a veteran, that's the order. So we want to try to help everybody we can under those programs.
I think if employers think of us as a force multiplier, so your job is to hire people and retain folks and good employees for the companies that you work for. Our job is to help veterans find employment. So we're both on the same team. We're coming at it from different angles. You know, veterans often don't self-identify as ready, which is where Vicki and I come in. We're here, whether you've been out of the military for years or you've just gotten out. If they're talking to me or they're talking to Vicki, they may need a hand with getting ready, and that it's hard for them to identify as ready. We're here to build that confidence to make sure they have the skills they need before they start working. And I'm going to go to this slide, which Vicki's going to talk about. This is where she met Ken, who met at the beginning of the show today. And if you're not connected with this program yet, I'll let Vicki explain why you should be, because it's fantastic. And the success rate is out of this world for the work we've been able to do with this over the past several years.
All right. Well, the Maine Hire Event is a Maine campaign. And what it is over 100 days. And we generally go from August to November. We had four physical events and one virtual. The objective to this is to hire 100 veterans within 100 days by 100 different employers. So over the 4 events, we had 237 employees attend all of those 4 events, 54 resource providers. And there was approximately 320 job seekers, half civilian and half veteran. And we did meet our goal and got over 100 veterans hired. I don't know the exact number because those sometimes still come in late, the surveys. But we asked the companies that hire these individuals to fill out a survey to let us know they had participated in the Maine Hire Event campaign. And that just adds to the validity of the program.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's fantastic. These are always the biggest hiring events that happen in Maine. So if you're an employee and you're not at one of these events, you should be. You're definitely going to meet folks in spot interviews. You also get to meet the greater network community. When you're working with Vicki or me at Easter Seals, you're working with the entire network of folks that help veterans in Maine. It's really a small but mighty team. There's a bunch of different organizations. I've got a slide coming up, but we're all together. So you're really getting the whole team on your side to help you. And we stay with them when they're employed with you. We're always here. Yes. I think the National Guard's slogan is always ready, always there. And that's what we try to be as well. Let me go to the next slide. But yes, get out to the Hire a Vet campaigns. Those start in August and they run through November. So we've already started planning on those. Just to reemphasize, we're partners with you. We can help somebody who was a truck driver or a military police in the service translate that experience into civilian skills. We'll work with them on that. Vicki works with folks through things like ONET, My Next Move. We really want to put the whole suite of tools we have in front of them and let them know how to be prepared and make sure they're prepared. And like I mentioned before, we're here to support employers before, during, and after the hire. I'll talk a little bit later on about some of the mentoring success we've had. Military titles don't match civilian titles. The skills are what we're looking for.
Yes.
You're going to have somebody that may have had any job in the military, and part of their training and part of the culture of the military has been that they were part of a team, but they had to lead often in difficult situations. So you're really getting all of those when you're trying to bring a veteran onto the workforce. So what veterans bring to your organization, leadership, that accountability, mission focus. The why is always important. These are folks that we work with. The culture of the military is you've led a life of service. You've served people. Knowing why you're doing what you're doing when you have veterans on your team is going to be very important to them. They'll do anything. They want to know the why behind it. You've got that teamwork, that ability to adapt to different situations, to pivot, to change lanes and be able to triage situations and focus on what needs to be done. Getting the mission done is a source of pride. It matters to veterans. Performing under high pressure. Almost anybody who's a veteran at one point has experienced pressure that exists in the military. You bring those skills with you when you go into the civilian workforce. You've got a high reliability, a high work ethic to go through basic training, to go through the training in the military and to stick with that. You're bringing that with you. That really never leaves you. And that's what veterans can bring to your organization when they come work for you. Vicki, do you have anything to add on that?
Well, yeah, it's imperative that businesses open up to hiring veterans, and we have a program called the Hire Vets Medallion Program. It's actually from the federal government, and what it is we would look at a company and say, how many employees do you have? Oh, I have 100. Okay, how many veterans do you have on staff? Well, I have 6. Okay, so if you wanted to participate in this medallion program, what you would do is you'd have to bring your number up to a certain percentage. I think it's like 10%. There's variations based on size of the company. But part of that is they try to hire and retain veterans for a year. And then what they would do is the next year, the next cycle, they would apply for this recognition. It's not an award. It's a recognition, and it's issued on Veterans Day. We had 4 this year in Maine, and it was Westbrook. I believe that was the city of Westbrook, their 3rd year in a row. We had Job Corps, and the other 2 are Peace Corps, I believe. They're escaping my mind at the moment, but they're repeats. So we do have this program that businesses are eligible to participate in. And along with hiring the veterans comes the support services. So as Brian said before, veterans conjugate. They support each other. They have commonalities that bring them together. So as part of the medallion program, you would institute some kind of veteran support group in your business. And it's just kind of, hey, we have some problems with, whatever. The veterans would get together and maybe approach management, but they feel, I've found that veterans do conjugate, and we have very similar experiences. Might not be the same, but similar. And it kind of brings that camaraderie. So if you hire 1 veteran, hire 2. If you hire 3, hire 4. So it's just, make an effort. And Brian, when did you want me to talk about the USM part? Because this might be a good segue.
Yeah, that's coming up. Not there yet.
All right.
So
Good deal. All right.
So,
Gotcha.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about this, and you have some stuff to say about this too, Vicki, is turning military experience into business value. And we highlighted before that your roles you did in the military don't always match civilian titles. I did command and control what did you do in the Air Force, Vicki?
I was ComNav. I worked on aircraft communications maintenance.
Those are 2 words, command and control and ComNav, that are perfect examples of job titles that may not translate into the civilian sector. Now, Vicki and I had skills we learned that are common to everybody who's in the Air Force or Army or Navy or Marines or Coast Guard. I can't forget the Coast Guard in honor of Leo. But veterans are going to bring management, logistics, technical operations expertise. It's our job to help them translate that into the stuff they can put on their resume. So it's the job of the folks who are reading the resumes to ask those questions and read between the lines. I think that when you get a resume in front of you and it may say something like ComNav or it says something like command and control, that's instantly goes in the not going to get an interview pile, or folks don't understand what it means, which is natural. You see a bunch of acronyms. Military loves acronyms. We're here to try and prevent you having to look through those things. But at the same point, we ask for employers to consider that you're hiring for the skills, leadership, and the potential of the veteran sitting across from you in the interview. And I think, Vicki, I want you to talk a little bit about some of the tools that we use, like ONET and MyNextMove and some of those things and how those can help.
Yeah, ONET is a great resource. And what it does is it takes your military identification number or what you did, job code, and it translates into a civilian. So, and then it'll tell you, okay, for this position, it shows all the different skills and it puts it in their civilian terms. ONET also has a little section on the top, and it's like you take a little survey, and if it says if you had no money wasn't the issue or time wasn't the issue, what would you do? So you go through a series of questions. It kind of assesses you on what you like. Maybe somebody getting out of the military wants to do something a change of course, so it kind of gears them towards what that might be. MyNextMove is also a military transition program. and there's the TAPS classes that the military's put on. And so what they do, it's a transition assistance program.
Mhm.
So they try to get the individual, kind of ready for civilian life.
Mhm.
So at the Career Center, though, we would work on all of the resume. We'll practice interviews,
Mhm.
anything that they need, job references. So at my position, I work directly with the veterans, but also I work with businesses and outreach, try to pull them in and kind of connect the two.
Mhm.
So, but there's many search engines out there. There's Indeed, there's Live and Work in Maine, which is a new one that I recently discovered.
Mhm.
There's just a plethora of them. So job searches, and in addition to that, Maine, the Department of Labor Career Centers have their own platform. It's called the Maine Job Link. In there,
Yep.
a company who is registered is able to attend our monthly or any of our job fairs, no cost. You can advertise jobs, no cost. You could search resumes of potential hirees through the Maine Job Link. You can also get information on the training events or the monthly job fairs in each community. So it has a lot of information. There's packages for onboarding for job seekers. There's
Mhm.
packages for employers that kind of tell you what to do to set up your account and how to utilize it the best.
Mhm. Fantastic. Yeah, you really get the whole suite of tools as an employer when you're working with either myself or with Vicky or our teams that are going to help support you in your work at the same time we're supporting the veteran. I'm going to go to the next slide and talk a little bit about onboarding and how you could succeed when you've hired a veteran and onboarding and what that means for success. And clear instructions, expectations, and performance goals are going to be huge. That's been the experience while the veteran was serving in the military. That's only going to benefit you, and that would benefit anybody. Clear expectation, structure, and performance goals. I cannot over. I've had such success with mentoring. It's one of the things I'm passionate about. Personally, I worked with a year or so ago a veteran who had been homeless, a young man, Afghanistan vet, and when our team met him, he was homeless. So part of the work that we do, the big picture work that we do, is stabilizing housing and making sure he's housed and has furniture. At the same time we're doing this, we got him connected with some of his military benefits so he could start working on education, certification, kind of guiding him along that process up to the hiring event. He did get hired. We stabilized the housing. We were able to help with transportation issues through some of the programs that we have access to, and he got a great job, was making a great wage. He was still struggling at work after he got hired, and you would think that would be the win and the end of the story. It wasn't. One of the things I worked with the employer on was identifying another veteran on their staff that could kind of put their arm around him and guide him. So that mentoring piece of that, if you have veterans on your staff and you're hiring a new veteran, maybe ask them to look out for each other. That camaraderie is something that veterans miss when they leave the service, and it's going to be huge. All you can do to foster that is going to be part of your culture, is going to only benefit you. It's very important. The workplace culture, you're the new person. It takes a while to figure that out. So just explain it earlier. Like, clarity is going to help you keep the people you hire, and explain that culture. Don't leave folks to figure it out on their own. Some folks are great at reading the room and some aren't. That doesn't mean that they don't have other skills. So you just got to be ready to work with that, with veterans. They come from a unique culture, so it can take a while to adapt to into your culture at your company or where you're from. Anything, Vicky, on this?
Well, just real quick on that, you're talking about the workplace culture. So we also have another, it's not really a program, but it's called A Day in the Life, and the Day in the Life of a Veteran. So what we would do is I'd contact a business and say, hey, can we come in and do a site tour of a veteran who's interested working there? They might be able to, we go over there and go through the process, meet the onboarding folks, see if they're interested in that job. So it gives them opportunity. So we've done some great tours with like precision alignment. We've also done General Dynamics. We've done Pratt Whitney. So these are some opportunities for people to get inside a business and actually see what happens, to say, hey, no, I don't want to sit on a machine all day. I want to do something else. So that's just an opportunity that we offer. And we do like the coordination with the business on that part too.
Yeah, and like this line here is huge. When they're supported, veterans stay, they grow, and they lead. I left the military in 2019. I've been proud to be with the same company now since I got out, because of that very stuff. I felt supported. I've been allowed to grow and become a leader, and that can be anyone on your team as well. Just giving them the support they need, understanding why they're doing it. Again, I'll emphasize that. Like, what's the work mean? Is it noble work? What's the purpose of it? Is going to be huge. Folks have come from a life of service. They want to continue to honor that. That's something that they're going to seek and probably miss when they're not in the military. I think that Vicki probably too can speak a little bit. It's some of the work that DOL does with retention and following up. That's huge to us. I've mentioned it several times during the presentation today, but it doesn't stop when we get when we get the hire, or we get the veteran we're working with hired. That doesn't end there. We want to make sure they stay and succeed and grow.
Yes.
So retention is important to us. And that's not just us working with the veteran, that's us working with the folks that are attending here today and with all the employers that we work with to make sure that it's a successful match. We can mitigate if there's problems and mediate and help have a discussion with folks too. And Vicki, you can talk a little bit about your role in the retention field.
Oh yeah, we do. We follow up on the veterans that get hired. It's part of our funding from the feds, but essentially we follow up, second quarter and fourth quarter after hiring to see if they're still there, retained, and what their pay rate is. Kind of gives us some numbers to work on. Department of Labor is based on numbers, and so we have to meet these milestones and check that the individual may be employed. Additionally, I follow up with the company. I had an instance where I had a veteran that I worked with. He got hired on January 13th and he quit on January 22nd. So it wasn't the fit for him. But at the same time, you have that rapport with the company to say, they understand the situation. So, but yeah, we do follow up and support our veterans even after they're hired.
Yep. Yeah, it's my favorite thing about the work that I do with working with folks is seeing them grow and grow into future leaders and succeed in life. It matters to me. It comes with being a caring person. You want to see that for all your employees. For me, it's particularly important to see that for veterans. Career pathways matter. When you're talking about sitting across the desk from a veteran that works for you, that pathway matters. That's kind of spelled out in the military. Like if you're a first in, you're an enlisted person, you know what it takes to get to getting your next stripe or getting promoted. There's a clear pathway to that. The education milestones and the professional military education goals that you have to meet in the military to do that. So having clear career pathways and being able to feel like you can grow isn't just going to be important for veterans. It's important for everybody, but it's particularly important to veterans because they come from that culture where that stuff's spelled out for them. But you can see veterans do particularly well in training, learning how to do something and becoming an expert at it, and then sharing that knowledge, be it training, if there's training roles in your company, opportunities to do that, mentoring. The first thing that I've done at any place I've worked is I've sought out a mentor and valued mentors and people that could help me grow. But at the same time, look for an opportunity to become a mentor and kind of pull somebody else up and bring them on the ride too and help them succeed is huge to me. Veterans tend to make good supervisors. You're going to deal as a supervisor in the military with folks from all different walks of life and all different backgrounds and all different corners of the country. So you've got to be a good problem solver if you're going to be successful. Those are tools you can use in with the folks that you're working with and that you're hiring. I'll let Vicki chime in here.
Retention. We work with the veterans. Well, I do work with the veteran one-on-one. and we develop an employment plan. So, we try to give them a pathway, like Brian's saying, to the road to employment. Sometimes it's long, they have to do some training, or they have to first priorities, get housed, get transportation. Sometimes they're not job ready when they come to me, and I refer them to maybe veteran services for their disability claim, or I refer them to the VA healthcare system if they're not in that. So many veterans, they want to, excuse me, I lost my train of thought, but so anyway, we try to get them to the right spot. I'll end now, Brian. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you talk about that. You're hiring folks who care about other people. And I see it every day in the current work we're doing here at Easter Seals. We run a program right now and work with a program for emergency financial assistance, which lately has been helping out a lot of veterans and their families that are struggling to heat their homes, that aren't making a lot of money or unemployed, keep their homes warm this winter. Whenever I've needed a hand, I had a case this past weekend where it was late on Friday. It was going to be a freezing weekend, and we had a veteran that didn't have heat, and part of the process, he needed, we got a hold of some heating oil for him, and just finding someone to come out and restart his furnace for him, instantly 10 hands go up, because we're all looking out for each other. We all care about each other. And that's part of the work that's meaningful that Easter Seals is doing as well. I want to talk a little bit about, inclusivity before, that fostering respect for diverse backgrounds and experiences, the open communication thing, the feeling of being safe. I think people tend to put veterans in a bucket. This happens. I think that there's a tendency sometimes to see veterans as damaged, or everyone has PTSD, but really the story is different for every veteran's had a different experience, just like anybody who hasn't been in the military has had a different experience that works for you. So try not to put that in a bucket. Really, everyone's different. Just being stronger engagement is going to lead to loyalty with the team members you're hiring. Get to know the folks, the veterans, ask them their story, be interested. Again, I'll hit on mentorship again, very important. And this is a great one. When I talked about the network that you're tapped into, and this is in the employment area, education is another huge one. Vicki will talk a little bit, but we work, both our agencies work on a daily basis with the VA, with the Maine Bureau of Veteran Services, with the many different veteran service organizations. Vicki spoke earlier about transition assistance, which has become huge in the military. And it's provided by the states because you lose young talent. You have veterans that people that grow up in Maine and join the military. When they get out, we want to bring that talent back to Maine. So transition assistance starts early. That's where they start when the last 6 months when they're in the military, learning how to hopefully come back to Maine and succeed and grow and become future leaders and employees in the state where we all live, so that we're not shedding talent out of the state. Boots to Roots is a great organization that helps with that. I'd encourage anybody who's on here to look at their database of folks that are coming back. High quality employees, resumes are ready. There's a lot of teams doing the same work, but we all work together. And I want Vicki to speak a little bit about the work we're doing with USM, Lori over at USM, and some of the folks at USM. It's the same stuff we're doing with the community colleges. But can you speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been working with Lori Spalding and Patricia Law over there at USM, and they have going to start a program in the spring, and it's geared toward businesses who want to hire veterans. And so it's called Supporting Veterans in the Workplace, but it's a virtual series or virtual course that you could look at. And I'm just going to read it because I don't have the script, but develop comprehensive understanding of military culture and the situations, recognize challenges that veterans face during civilian transitions, foster empathy and create inclusivity in the workplace environment, apply best practices on hiring, onboarding, and supporting the veterans, and build bridges between military and civilian workplace. And that's Boots to Roots, Helmets to Hard Hats. There's so many different agencies based upon the career field. If it's construction, they're going to be more like helmets to hard hats versus
Mhm.
boots to roots. It's going to work, with any industry. I had an individual that was coming out of the Coast Guard as an electrician or the Navy, and he got on with boots to roots. I worked with him a little bit, met him at a Maine hire vet. He got on with boots to roots, and eventually he ended up getting hired at BIW. So
Mhm.
it's a great opportunity for an individual, and they're looking to continue their skill sets.
Mhm.
So we use all of our different resources that we have available because I'm employment. I'm not housing. Brian can help with funding for heating oil. I can't do that. VRNE will help this vocational rehab and employment. That's a
Mhm.
veteran program done by the VA, which would enable an individual to go to school.
Mhm.
And while they're going to school, they're also going to get a stipend. So it's not like you just go to school and you don't have an income. So the resources are there. It's just a matter of attaching the right person to the right resource.
Yep. And again, just to emphasize, that's where Easter Seals can help. That's where the Maine Department of Labor and Vicki and her team of veteran specialists can help. Sometimes it can feel like a bit of a puzzle. It can feel like a bit of a puzzle, to be honest with you, for the veteran when they knock on my door or they walk on Vicki's, because we're experts at helping them navigate that and finding if there's a resource or if there's an unmet need, we want to make sure that's addressed. We're veterans, they're veterans. We want to take care of that for them just because it's the right thing to do. But there's a lot of things that can help that folks don't know about. So we've become to be experts at navigating some of those things, and we're here to help you understand that too. I work also with I probably can say this, with the Lewiston Chamber of Commerce as well. So we work with a lot of them. But even just last night, I had a member on the Lewiston Chamber reach out to my team about a veteran who was struggling with some things and ask how we could help. So that's the right call. Reach out to us. We're here to help. We want to find a solution. It doesn't necessarily even need to be employment. If you see someone struggling, that's part of the work we do. I think as we get ready to wrap up here, and hopefully I'll get some questions, but the business case for the folks that are attending today, and I'm not sure where folks are from. I can't see in the chat where it's through the chamber, so I'm assuming I've got some local Maine businesses here. Hopefully know some of you and would like to get to know you, definitely. But it's going to create a strong leadership pipeline for you. It's really going to improve the entire team. It's going to, and a question did just pop up from Kelly, are there industries that particularly benefits from hiring veterans? And I'll give Vicki a chance to chime in, but a chance to answer that for me too would be all of them. So all of them. I didn't do workforce development when I was in the Air Force. It wound up being something that I love, but some of the skills I brought from the military allowed me to succeed in this role. And it's really all of them. There are some that tailor. If you were in law enforcement in the military, that's a natural path progression. If you were in civil engineering, in construction and doing those type of things and building runways in the military, that's going to transition naturally to those trades like that. Same thing with cybersecurity is huge right now. IT support professionals. That's a great question. Vicki, you want to add to that?
I'm sorry, I got distracted. I was looking at a comment. No, I just kind of, supporting the veteran in their and helps them to be retained. So I don't have much else to say.
Yep. But yeah, Kelly, that's a great question. And we're here to help that. We'll help them. We have the tools to help them figure out how what they did in the military is going to translate to what they even want to do. They may not know yet. In the civilian sector. So that's an awesome question.
We have a question here. It says, are there industries that particularly benefit from hiring veterans?
Yeah, that's the one I just got. I hit on that one. I was talking about that one just now.
Okay.
But you can chime in too, Vicki, with that one.
Really, I don't know that they're, like you said, the ones with the fixed trades.
Yep.
Other than that, it's really hard. I mean, sometimes you have a submariner that you're trying to get a job, and so it's just contingent upon what they want to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then the pathway would be built from there. But if it's a good transition, then we try to help them,
Yeah. Yep.
to get their certifications that would allow them to work in the state, especially in Maine. So
One thing though that with the question that Kelly posted too is that a lot of folks are going to bring some credentials that will help them translate or get connected with that can be valuable to employers. Some folks bring a security clearance with them, which will be important working at places like Portsmouth Naval Shipyard or BIW. Those things can be valuable too. And there's special tools out there for folks that are bringing any sort of security clearance credentials with them. I can't remember the name of, but there's websites and things that folks, those are hard to get. So you want to hang on to those, and there's programs that we can connect with to help you do that. I got more questions. So
Pat Law.
Pat
Yeah.
Law.
Yeah.
Hi,
Go ahead.
Pat. Yeah, that's great, Pat. That's great. Good to see you. So yeah, Vicki talked with me yesterday about your program, and we'll be there. So too, and excited to learn about that. I'll let you handle this one, Vicki, from Quincy too, because that one's directed right at you.
Well, hi, Quincy. Thanks for the question. What's the best way for a business to engage with the Hire a Vet campaign? We begin our campaign organization probably around June or July. We schedule our events, and then about a month before the event, we'll open it up on Maine JobLink and the My WorkSource to advertise those events. So if any business is interested, they can email me directly. And I can't put my name in there because I can't join the chat, but it's my first and last name, vicky.hayer@maine.gov. And I'd be happy to put you on a reservation list. So we typically do north and south. We did Augusta was the opening ceremony. Then it went from there to Orono, I believe. Came down to Saco, which was a great event. We did a really good event, Saco. And then I think the last one was up in Farmington. So yeah, there's we try to go in different areas, but I'm pretty fond of the. Thank you. I'm pretty fond of the Saco event. It was amazing. It was the best I've seen, and I'm very pleased. That would be great for any kind of promotion. What we could do is we could send you out the advertisement, and you can advertise on your social media and such as well. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, great events. I can't say enough good things about those. They're fun too, because you get to see everybody and meet everybody. Next steps for the folks that are attending here today. We had a great one just happen, which is connect with the Hire a Vet campaign and participate in that. That's a great thing to do. Review your job descriptions when you're announcing careers for skills-based language. If you have any questions about that, you can reach out to Vicki or I. We're happy to help do that, to maybe get you some more applicants that you wouldn't have normally gotten. You can connect with me. I'll have Kelly also, or the chamber, put my my email in the chat as well. Reach out to me. I know that she has my contact information, but the work we're doing with Easter Seals, a lot of it is workforce development, and a lot of it is helping with unmet needs. If you'd like to get involved with that or learn more about that, you can reach out to me directly. Register in Maine JobLink. That's a huge one. It's a great system. And it's pretty unique to Maine, how well it works and how a lot of connections get made through that system. Commit to one step toward becoming more veteran inclusive. So we gave you some tips here today about how to do that. Things like mentoring, things about making sure there's clear pathways to growth, tapping into finding out if you have veterans that work for you. Yeah. And then playing to their strengths, getting those guys and men and women will go to work for you and do great things. I think that we want to say that, just highlight and go back over the things that we talked about today, is that Vicki and I and both of the teams we work with are here to support not just the veterans, but employers like folks attending today, before, during, and after the veteran gets hired. We're here to help translate those skills, to support the onboarding. We want to improve retention. There's nothing that makes me sadder than seeing someone not staying when I could have stepped in and helped and done something to mitigate that, and then to emphasize, strong veteran hiring is going to build stronger teams for you, and they build stronger communities. And they're not only going to look out for the other veterans in the team, but look out for everybody. That comes from that commitment to service. I so sorry, Vicky. I did not put your information up here. That was my slide I was supposed to fix. My number's up there. But if you want to put your number up, I'm sure that they can get that in the chat.
207-823-1542. I did want to speak quickly on the Maine Military Community Network, MMCN. It's a organization statewide, and they have different chapters. There's Augusta has one, Franklin County, and the Portland chapter has been down for a while. So I've decided to take charge and try to pull that back together. And we had our first meeting in December. We had a good show. And then we're going to have another meeting in February. Any businesses that, have concerns about veterans in the community, mostly it's a lot of different resource agencies, but businesses are welcome. You're engaged with the community, the veterans. You might see some needs that we don't see. So if anybody's interested, please reach out and we can send you an invitation. It's a very good program in our organization. And what we do is annually we have a meeting, or not a meeting, but a conference like in Augusta. And all these agencies come together, resource agencies, business agencies, and we look at what do veterans need in our area. So it's really great. I mean, we have people from the VA on suicide prevention. We have, Pat Law with USM for education. We have, people for housing, emergency addiction issues, so we address what we can. And perfect. Thank you so much. And then we can go from there. So it's a sounding board for people to say, hey, this is what we need in our community to help veterans and their families, not just veterans. And another note on that is we help not just veterans get jobs, but veteran spouses, qualified. So, if a spouse is looking for work, I have one spouse I'm working with right now. So, it's not just the veterans, it's the community, it's the family, it's everything. So.
Yeah, beautiful. I think that's a great way to wrap up, Vicki. That's awesome. And great work with the MMCN stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think we're good. Kelly, if there's no more questions.
No, and does anyone have any questions? Please put them in the chat box. You two, it sounds like you make yourselves pretty accessible for this work.
Yes.
It's a pleasure. The work to me is meaningful, and I'm always happy and excited to get to work every day. So the work means a great deal to me, and I know it does to Vicki too. So,
yeah, the community is amazing. I love being around veterans. The more I'm around, groups like that, the more I'm invested. When I got out of the military in California, I didn't have any assistance. I mean, I was 94, but fortunately, I got a job with the county like within 2 weeks. So, I got into another solid long-term position. I was very fortunate. So, not everybody has that opportunity.
Maine does a great job of for veterans. So
Maine is very veteran forward, very supportive of veterans. So I found that to be true of the last year.
That's fantastic. And would you say is this an expensive process or?
The expensive? It's free.
Free resources. It's all free.
Yeah, I mean, our thing, most of the things we talked about today are going to be free to the veteran, and certainly anything that we're doing to help an employer is there to help. Yeah, that's not something that anyone's charging for. We're charged with this work, so that's the payment. So yeah, neither of us charge for anything that we do to veterans or to the employers that we work with.
The programs are generally funded by grants, so it's the opportunity to help people.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Very nice. Any last thoughts before we wrap up?
Come out to the Maine Hire, vets.
Yes. Yeah.
Come out to the Portland Career Center, the best kept secret.
Yeah. And
it really is. It has so many options and so many
chamber events. Yeah, go see Vicki at the Career Center and the Eggs and Issues and the Kegs and Issues and all the great things the chamber's doing too. I hope to see you there.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you. And we appreciate you both so much for your time and expertise today. You shared some really important information and incredible resources. We will follow up with a link to this recording and name a couple of the resources that appeared on your slides. And maybe we can share Brian and Vicky's information through that email as well, if you're okay with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love to hear from anybody who has any questions. Feel free to reach out.
Yes.
Thank you. And I'd also love to give a shout out to my colleague, Riley Legere, who's been running everything behind the scenes today. Thank you so much for helping to produce today's event.
Thank you, Riley. Yeah, I couldn't have done this. And you calmed me down this morning. I was nervous. So. Riley was great.
You made it effortless. Thank you.
Yeah.
And another shout out to Springborn Staffing and Visit Portland for their generous support of the IDEA series. The Chamber and our community could not have the conversations that we're having without your support. And of course, I'd like to thank everybody who attended IDEAS this morning. If you're interested in learning more about today's topic, please be sure to check your email and we'll follow up with the appropriate contact information. And our next IDEAS is on March 3rd, and it will be covering recovery in the workplace with our friends at Sweetser. So with that, thank you once again, and I wish you all a wonderful day. Thank you, Brian and Vicki.